Procurement Officer from the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development. Reverend, it's a pleasure having you with us this morning.
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers and listeners. I hope we are well.
And praise the Lord.
Amen. Praise the Lord.
Amen. We are glad to have you here with us this morning. When people see reverends, we normally have reverends on Thursday. So when someone sees a reverend on a Wednesday, they're like, eh. But today we are discussing procurement. Yes, we are discussing procurement. And so, Reverend, as we talk about the sustainable procurement reform, someone would really want to know what public sector procurement is, and if we can start it from there.
Okay, first of all, once again to thank you for inviting us, and on behalf of Ministry of Finance, we appreciate sincerely for this opportunity to share some information on sustainable public procurement. My name is Julian Amongin, and I work with the Ministry of Finance. I'm a tent maker. I serve the Lord in different spaces.
Yes.
The public space is one of them in the public service. So to our question that you just asked about public procurement, what is public procurement? Public procurement is generally the process by which government has ministries, departments, agencies, and local authorities or local governments. And these need to consume, they need to deliver services to the people, and they need the roads, they need schools, we need water, medical facilities. So public procurement is a process by which government ministries, departments, agencies, and local governments acquire goods. They acquire goods, they acquire services, they acquire works through public procurements, through a process that is defined or detailed in the laws in place. We have the PPDA Act that details, and the PPDA regulations that details how these goods, services, and works are acquired. But suffice it to say that procurement accounts for between 50 to 60% of total government spending. And so it is one of the significant areas.
That's quite much.
Yeah, it is quite much, and it's quite significant. And so public procurement is one of the ways, can be a key tool that we use. And we are looking at procurement is positioning itself to use public procurement as a tool to catapult socioeconomic development in the country. And that is why we are here today.
Okay.
Through sustainability and other components that we shall be discussing today.
Okay, that's so powerful. Talking about this now, you brought in sustainability, and now we want to, because we realize procurement, as you've just told us, takes much of the government spending, and so someone would really want to know what sustainability refers, and then later we shall look at sustainability procurement. But we first of all handle sustainability as it is contextually.
Okay, contextually, sustainability is really about when we meeting our needs today without compromising the needs of the future generations. So today we are here. We are the population that is currently here, but the way in which we meet our needs, the way in which service delivery is done shouldn't impede the ability of future generations. Our children, our grandchildren, and the future generation should be able to meet their own needs. And so it should be done in a manner that minimizes environmental impact to the environment, that is socially responsible, and that empowers generally. And so sustainability is hinged really on three primary pillars. We have the economic pillar, we have the social pillar, and then we have the environment pillar. Okay. And we'll look at them in detail later. But the environment pillar is looking at us meeting our needs with minimum impact, negative impact to the environment. And then the economic is looking at how can procurement advantage or help the local economy, the local community, the local suppliers, the special interest groups, the women, the persons with disability, and generally the local community context in Uganda, our products. How can they be promoted, and how can this procurement be socially responsive to the needs of the people? So those are the components that sustainability looks at, while we are looking at meeting our needs without impeding the ability of the future generations to meet their own.
Okay. Now we talk about sustainable procurement. What is sustainable procurement?
Now, sustainable procurement really is whereby it's a process where we consider environmental aspects, we consider economic considerations and social considerations in the acquisition process. These are embedded in the acquisition process generally. And so if, for example, you are going to, you're procuring or you're acquiring a construction works, construction of a road, for instance. So we are looking at ensuring that the procurement is done, it's executed, is procured up to execution in such a way that there's minimum impact, negative impact to the environment. That the trees, if there are any trees, for example, that are cut down, are they able to be replaced, or are they being conserved? For example, that we don't have unnecessary intrusions on the road, that and there are other environmental health and safety considerations for the workers, for the community that are considered. We are also looking at ensuring that we empower and support the local communities, the marginalized groups, to participate in procurement. So sustainable procurement looks at these different pillars or these components, and they are considered in the decision-making process, while ensuring that we still meet the different stakeholder requirements at the end of the day.
Okay. You brought in a very good component, because when we look at sustainable procurement, and it has an element especially of climate change, then that gives us hope that we are safe, that the next generation is safe, because you realize that, for example, like the example you gave, when there is a construction of a road, and because that times trees being cut, but what happens after these trees are cut?
Yes.
Yeah, that is very, very important. But now we ask ourselves, when was this concept hatched?
This concept really was, it started with the 2030 agenda, and the UN 17 Sustainable Development Goals in 2015 by the 191 UN nations, of which Uganda is a member, and this marked the beginning of the Sustainable Procurement Agenda. Now, sustainable procurement is provided for under goal 12.7. Under target 12.7, sustainable procurement and consumption. And it looks at adopting sustainable practices to be integrated with sustainability information in their reporting cycle. So that was generally the basis, the genesis. And Uganda, being a member of the UN, we are committed. Uganda had to put in place mechanisms of ensuring that we realize all these goals and all these targets are realized as laid down by the UN.
Okay.
And so that is when the sustainable procurement reform started.
When you talk about it, it looks so fancy, so interesting. But someone would ask, is it something we need today? Is it really important? Sustainable procurement. Is it something important in today's in the way things are today?
Very, very important. I would say very important because we have a lot of industrialization that is taking place, a lot of mechanization that is taking place, and generally an advance of technology. All this we need to harness. Now, you will notice that, for example, I'll give an example in the agricultural sector. Some of the farming methods that farmers may be using may not be environmentally friendly. But also look at the herbicides. Look at the herbicides that they use and the pesticides. Have you gone to the market and bought tomatoes and they're white? For example, they're laced with pesticide, and this is what we are consuming.
Even greens are supposed to be
Even the
green.
greens. So it is getting so unhealthy, and it's becoming a concern. So these are some of the initiatives that we are putting in place to ensure that, one, we create awareness, that we are all aware, that we are all concerned about the negative, the impact of unsustainable procurements up to the individual level. At the end of the day, this affects us in many ways, but also look at, for example, the Kavera, the polythene bags that is littered everywhere.
And the plastic bottles.
And the plastic bottles. I remember this year, after the Matters Day celebration in Namgongo, there was Kavera all over. You know, and where does that Kavera end up? It ends up in the lakes, it ends up in the rivers, you know, and that affects the aquatic life, but also it causes floods because the drainages are affected, you know, the landfills are affected. So generally, the environment, the issues, the issues of the environment are very vast, but also our people locally. You know, our people locally, the people are doing, they're not well. But if we're looking at, if we're talking about positioning Uganda to become an income generating country and move us from a peasant economy into prosperity, then we have to find innovative ways and approaches of engaging the local people, you know, promoting innovative approaches, industrialization, for example, having the youth doing jua kali, you know, and we consume that. And so those are some of the considerations we're looking at: developing our local market, our local suppliers, the medium, small, the micro, small and medium enterprises, the women initiatives, the local associations. You know, there's a lot that procurement can do to support them, to develop them, so that they benefit from procurement as well. And at the end of the day, it's the country that grows. It's a country that develops, and, you know, generally socio-economic development is enhanced. So there are very, very many reasons. And then, of course, the global warming issues. You know, today the weather patterns are unpredictable, and some of them it's because of our habits, our consumption patterns, and the procurement decisions at the end of the day feed into all this. And so now we are saying that the procurement person who is making these decisions, all the stakeholders who are charged with ensuring that they acquire these goods, supplies, and services, should put at the back of their mind, they should put this at the back of their mind. How can we acquire, you know, acquire more for less? Because still, at the end of the day, we are looking at the future generations, the future, our children, our grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. These resources should not be depleted, but they must be conserved for them. But also, for us to have a healthy population today, a clean environment, and socially responsive procurement system generally.
Reverend, this looks hectic, it looks broader, it looks bigger. Isn't it adding another burden, especially to the procurement process and the taxpayer? There's a perception, there's a myth that sustainable procurement is expensive. It is a myth, but it's a myth. But I will ask you a question. Have you ever had a bad buy? For example, you go and buy a shoe, and the shoe, for example, is going for 50,000 shillings. And 1 week down the road, the sole is all off. 1 week is long. The following day.
Oh, the following day.
Yes.
And the shoe is no more. And so, from the look of things, it looked cheap, but it's more costly. As opposed to if you bought a genuine product. if you bought a genuine product for a little higher. So there is a perception that sustainable procurement is costly, it's expensive, it is a myth, but and of course there are also certain fears that some of the genuine products are not locally available. The market readiness issues also come to play. Is the market ready? Is the market, are these things in the market, how readily available are they? Are they affordable? Those are some of the considerations. But at the end of the day, sustainable procurement is looking at buying beyond the shelf price, the sell price, to other considerations. What is the cost of owning this show? Will I have to go to the cobbler every week? Okay, what is the cost of maintaining it? At the end of the day, how am I going to dispose it? If we're talking about electricals, if you're buying electricals, at the end of the day, we are looking at having such a holistic mindset. At the end of the day, we should also be looking at how we are going to dispose of that item after its useful life. You know, will it go back to, is there a mechanism to take it back to the manufacturer? Can it be reused? Can it be recycled? Or is it, other than just, as opposed to just being dumped in a landfill, or being dumped in a manner that is dangerous and harmful to the environment and the life of the people? Yes.
Talking about this, I remember when the carpenters that were around in Zambia were being relocated to Chigo, and the president went to visit what they were doing. He actually said that all government institutions should start buying furniture from them. And I don't know whether that was affected, but we still hear that people still importing furniture, a thing that the president was against. But now the question comes, how is government implementing the sustainable procurement in this country? Also supporting the local manufacturers and the Juakalis you talked about.
And the Juakalis.
Yes.
To begin with, the policy and legal provisions are in place. We have the National Public Sector Procurement Policy that gives the strategic direction, the policy direction of public procurement in Uganda. So we have that in place, and that provides for sustainable public procurement. And then government has further gone ahead. We've gone ahead to amend the laws, the procurement laws. The PPDA Act was, PPDA Act Cap 205 has been amended to provide for sustainable public procurement under Section 66. And then that is further operationalized from the regulations that provide for it. The bidding documents have been revised to provide for sustainability aspects or components in it. And so those are some of the ways that government has gone ahead to do that. So in the legal provisions, for example, in the legal provisions, we have this provision that has been made to support and promote small and medium enterprises, for example. You know, the upcoming businesses like that one you're talking about. Those are small and medium enterprises. And the laws are in place, and the procedures are in place to support them. But also there's been reservation that has been made for certain, for the local community. For example, furniture is reserved, it's one of those certain furniture. When we talk furniture, furniture is wide. There's also, by the way, medical furniture. There's also furniture made out of steel, and that may have to meet certain international standards to be acceptable. So furniture is broad, and it depends on the specifications and the use scenarios in place. But by and large, it is one of those. Then we have also textiles, for example. And so you'll find that entities like Uganda Prison Services, they no longer buy material for their uniforms from, they no longer import. They buy them locally. Okay, because of that reservation. So there's some reservation schemes that are in place for certain components. But also, in events whereby we have foreign bidders, there's some procurements which may be complex, sensitive, high value, extremely high value, and that attract foreign firms. Like, for example, you have construction of a dam, for instance. And so in such cases, there's also provision that has been made for some works, components of those works should be reserved for the local community, what they are able to do in form of subcontracting, for instance. But also there are certain value thresholds. The PPDA Act has provided for, legal provisions have laid down certain value thresholds that are reserved for the local bidders. Reserved for only local bidders. So for those ones, the foreign firms do not have to participate.
Even when they qualify? Even when they qualify.
Okay. Yeah. And then we also have preference schemes that are in place to advantage the local bidders, but also there's also a provision to support the marginalized groups like women, youth, persons with disabilities. They can organize themselves in associations, they can have companies that are registered, and their requirements for registration are not stringent, they're simplified. And as long as they are organized, then they can participate in public procurement. Their entities have been required to reserve certain percentages of their procurement budget to these special interest groups. And so, for me, I think it's a good thing. It's a very good thing, because then we are able to support our people. Our people are able to benefit from the procurement processes. So these are some of the things government has done. But further still, in regard to the sustainable public procurement, now we have a secretariat. We have Ministry of Finance has a secretariat, an SPP secretariat that is in place to help us to coordinate, generally coordinate and manage the implementation of the sustainability efforts. Okay. And to that effect, we have an action plan, a 5-year action plan, and part of what I'm doing now is part of that action plan. A number of activities that are there, embedded therein, that we are unpacking and implementing in the drive of promoting sustainability. So government has really done a lot, and is still doing a lot. We are now endearing the public and all stakeholders, the public, the community, and all stakeholders, to be aware of this reform, and together let's participate in this reform and move it forward.
Actually, I see a lot of beauty in it, and I believe that for this time, all people are able to participate and to benefit out of the procurement, the public procurement process. Well, we are taking a short commercial break. When we return, we are going to continue with the conversation. Stick with us.
Issues at hand. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. Issues at hand.
Welcome back from the break. We are looking at the sustainable procurement reforms that are in our country, and of course before the break we looked at how important the reforms are, and of course with us is Reverend Gillian, who is taking us through this entire discussion. Now, Reverend, before the break you told us how the wananchi can also is also going to benefit out of especially the policies that are in place. But now someone would really ask themselves, what product is the government starting with and why?
We are carrying this out in a phased approach.
Okay.
Government is adopting a phased approach in rolling out sustainable public procurement. So that entities can learn, reforms, any change. You don't just put both feet in the river. You test with one foot. And as we learn, as we take lessons, refine and improve. And so some of the products that have been earmarked for primary consideration, initial consideration, for example, things like paper, like toner, and like construction timber. Now these are cross-cutting. Almost every local government, every ministry, department, agency uses paper. They use toner, they use construction timber, and they are cross-cutting, but they also have a high environmental and social impact. They have a high environmental and social impact, and they have also sustainable alternatives that are readily available. So, but and they are also high spend, considering the fact that they are cross-cutting. They are used by all entities, and so we are looking at this. And there are also areas that are subject to waste many times, a lot of times. So these are some of the priority products that we are considering to begin with, as we continue to learn and roll out others to the whole country.
Okay. Then what is the role of the wananchi, the ordinary person, or the taxpayer in the sustainable procurement?
The local person. The local person has a lot to do, as well as sustainability is concerned, sustainable procurement is concerned. They have a lot to do in promoting sustainable procurement by making informed, ethical, and responsible choices that support environmental protection, social equity, and economic growth. For example, you don't have to work in government or in a large corporation in order to do this. There are a lot of initiatives that we can, and there's so many ways. Have you, for example, the other day I was moving to church and somebody just threw a mineral water bottle, a used one, through the window. And
it has become normal to some people. You look at someone responsible, and then you see them do that, and you're like, wait.
They throw, yes, and that is just.
And to them, it's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. So the ordinary person should know that it is not right to litter. It's not. You're just contributing to more pollution of the environment, because you don't know where that water bottle, that mineral water bottle is going to fall into. Those are some of the informed decisions an ordinary person can do, taking care to ensure that we preserve the environment. This environment has been given to us by God. When God created man, He put him in the garden to tend and take care of the garden. And so, as the ordinary citizens, we have a role to protect the environment, to conserve it, to preserve it, and not to destroy it. But also an ordinary person can decide to eat responsibly. eat healthy and eat responsibly. Have you seen people who eat a lot of junk?
Yeah.
Someone, they eat a lot of junk. They don't eat organic food. They don't drink water. They are only drinking fizzy drinks, and that is...
It's the new normal, especially to the youth.
Exactly. It's a fad, it's a trend, but it is extremely dangerous to human health. Very dangerous to human health. So we can also make decisions to eat healthy and responsibly, remembering that our bodies are the temple of the Holy Spirit. My body is not a dustbin where I just throw in anything that it desires, but it should be treated honorably. And so we can also use environmentally friendly systems to prepare food instead of we can use renewable energy sources to prepare, for example, to prepare food. We can avoid foods that are unsafe, and prepared with unsafe products. But also, the ordinary person can also support responsible and local farming. I don't know whether you're a farmer. We can use eco-friendly practices really in farming and reduce chemical use. By reducing chemical use. If you know, I once kept broilers. If you know that you're about to sell them, then you should not treat them. Give them those what are they called? Those drugs that we used to inject them in. We shouldn't give them to them, especially if the gap between selling them and treating them is so short, because that is not safe for human consumption. So we can support local farming, support local farming. We can protect natural resources and strengthen the local economy. But also we can also lead by example and influence others. Lead by example and influence others. Choose to have a healthy lifestyle. Keep physically fit, do exercise, eat healthy, drink water, clean water, as opposed to fizzy drinks, as opposed to alcohol. We can choose to make sustainable options in both business and private life, as well as government. We can also stay informed. Stay informed. This is a reform that has come. So you can study more about it. You can study more about it on the internet. You can study more about it. You can get more information about this even on the Ministry of Finance website. We have these documents there and more. Stay informed. Advocate for change. Advocate for change, and let's campaign and advocate for initiatives that promote responsible procurement. Recently, I was sharing in my church where I serve, and I was challenging them that we should stop using the mineral water bottles. We should stop using them. If we can stop using them. Consider to stop using mineral water bottles, for example, and use dispensers. Or mineral water bottles or single-use plastics, such that we can reduce the potential negative impact that it will have on the environment, especially. Or we can look for other take-back mechanisms. For example, can the mineral company come and pick the empty bottles after? And take them to recycle, to reuse, other than just having them littered all over, and they find their way to the lakes, the rivers, the swamps, water and so forth. So there's a lot that the local person can do. You can even choose to buy your fabric locally. Okay? You know that by buying bed sheets from Nightil, by buying materials from Nightil, you are promoting. How many farmers are you promoting? Are you supporting? You're supporting your country. Can choose, can make such decisions, such buying decisions, even at a personal level, at an individual level. And that goes a long way. The multiplier effect and to generally will be immense. at the end of the day.
Okay. Well, you told us that because it is a reform, it is not something that comes and then it is rolled out today and tomorrow. Everything has changed, and so since it is the process is gradual. Are there any things that the government has achieved so far out of the reforms and what they are yet to or what you're working on that in process?
Oh yes, government has achieved, has made some significant achievements so far.
Okay.
For example, these reforms are already in place. For example, the reservation schemes are in place. The reservation schemes are in place, and a number of entities have already taken this on and are championing this. Have you seen that? Have you noted that, for example, the people who clean the city, women, okay, and those are employed. That's under the KCCA. That is sustainable public procurement, and that is an achievement supporting the women, the vulnerable, ordinary, poor woman, to put food on the table and to have a fairly decent living as opposed to prostitution and other vices, and contribute to the development of this country. So government has done a lot. Those reservations are in place, the preference schemes are in place. We are of course doing a lot of change management, training, and continuous training. This has to be continuous such that we bring everybody on board. And we're also implementing the different activities in the Sustainable Public Procurement Action Plan. We have quite a number of them. And of course, the challenge is, and we're funding, financing for some of them, but what we are doing is that we are being innovative and doing what we can. And for that, we really thank Family TV for giving us, this is not the first time, but also other platforms, radios and TV stations, for giving us a platform to share this information. So there's a lot. There's really a lot that government is doing. Okay. And we also have the electronic government procurement reform. Electronic government procurement reform is also hinged on sustainable public procurement. And here we are looking at automating the procurement processes. Instead of using paper, manual systems, we are now digitizing and digitalizing. And so that is going a long way to reduce on the number of trees that are cut at the end of the day, because the use of paper will be reduced. At the end of the day, the use of toner will be reduced, and that is substantial, but also we'll end up having transparent procurement processes, because I mean, if you are dealing with virtual and online transactions, the human element is reduced or removed, then incidences of corruption, incidences of meddling, and all those unethical practices that have been heard of in procurement are managed. And so we have transparent, open procurement systems that deliver value for money and reduced transaction and procurement costs generally. And so efficiency levels will be driven up. So government is doing a lot, and to that effect, the electronic government procurement reform is on course, and very soon government will be enrolling the entire country on this EGP reform, and it's a very good thing for this nation.
Sure, it is. So earlier you told us about some of the myths associated with sustainable procurement, and one of them was that it is expensive. Are there any other myths that you would, of course, demystify on this platform about sustainable procurement?
The other one is that it is for developed countries. It's for developed countries, it's not for Uganda. That's another myth.
Remember, there is a way people tend to demean our country. When something good comes, they say, we are not yet there.
Exactly. We are not yet there. It's as if it's for Europe, it is for those highly developed countries. And yet, by the way, those people, those whites are admiring what we have here. Have you seen them, how they bask?
Yes.
They come and bask here.
Yes,
Have you seen when they come here, how they're buying our local fabric, the Chitenge fabric?
Yes.
They're buying our sandals, how they enjoy our local, authentic, organic food
Yes.
and fruits, you know. So that's another myth that needs to be demystified and worked on. We have a lot of resource in Uganda. It's a beautiful country, beautifully and richly endowed by God. And so sustainable public procurement is not for the developed countries. It is for us. Actually, it is for every creation of God. Because when God created man and put him in the Garden of Eden, God put in place plants, he put in place all creation, and man, the intention was that man uses creation to meet his needs. To meet his needs. And so meet his needs without impeding the needs, the future generations from meeting their own needs. And so sustainable procurement is for every creation of God. Another myth is that sustainable public procurement takes long. It's a longer process, you know, and all that. And these are all myths, because if we have documented processes, it doesn't take really long. It is, if done properly, it even saves time and a lot of resources. So those are some of the other myths that we need to demystify as far as sustainable public procurement is concerned.
Okay. We know that much as the sustainable procurement reforms are good and exciting, there are also barriers associated. Have you identified any?
Yeah. The barriers are associated, and some of the barriers are, for example, the market readiness. I wouldn't call it a barrier really, but it's a challenge.
Okay.
The market readiness, the readiness of the market, for example, to be able to meet all our needs. Some of these products are not there. They're not readily available, some of them, especially the one with eco labels, the ones which meet certain requirements that are sustainable may not be available. But also there's the issue of the initial cost may be high, because like I said, now we are looking at buying holistically, from procurement planning to disposal, for example. So if, assuming you're buying a plant, a production plant, so you have to consider all that. So it may look like the initial cost is high, but also there is the other challenge of lack of awareness or expertise in sustainable procurement and understanding sustainable procurement. That's another challenge that we have. And then we have the organizational culture that we have to demystify, that we need to work around, the change management issues that come at play, and also those perceptions, you know, perceptions that SPP products are expensive. Those myths, that's another barrier. Those are some of the barriers, the challenges. I wouldn't call them challenges, but barriers, but challenges that we may have, that we have, some of the common ones.
How can we address these? I mean, what can we as a country do to overcome these challenges so that we live to see the sustainable public procurement?
One of the ways is through mass awareness raising, like we're doing now. Engagement, continuous collaboration and engagement with the private sector, because we can't do procurement. Suppliers, providers, contractors are very key stakeholders in this entire process. So we need to continually engage them, educate them, collaborate with them, work with them, build their capacity in order to be able to participate in procurement. And then we also need to strengthen collaboration also with the civil society, with the civil society organizations, development partners, but also the public. The public, we need the buy-in and the support of the public in this, because like I said, earlier, some of the initiatives, like the public participating through different associations, special interest groups, they are key in driving this agenda forward.
As we wind up with this conversation, Reverend, what are your closing remarks? And maybe a message for Christmas. We might not have you again for Christmas.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you so much. One, I would like to thank Family TV so much for hosting me, for hosting Ministry of Finance this morning, and for the ministry that you do. And my message during this Christmas season, this festive season, is that as we enjoy, as we feast, there's a lot of feasting.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cake. There's a lot of eating left, right, and center. Think about your eat sustainably, eat healthy, make healthy decisions, ethical decisions. Let's be considerate, even as we make our purchasing and procurement and purchasing decisions, even up to the personal level, up to the family level. We can be considerate and contribute to this agenda. But most importantly, let's not forget the reason for the season. Let's not forget that Jesus is the reason for the season. And may Christ be born in our hearts during this season. That is the most important. And when Christ is born in our hearts, then we will have a renewed mind. And when we have that renewal, then we shall be able to see sustainability components from the lens of Christ. May God bless you and have a Merry Christmas and a blessed New Year 2026. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Reverend. We really appreciate, and thank you so much for the information, but also the message of Christmas. And to your viewer, thank you so much. You started with us up to now. Adrian Austin Makala is my name. I've worked with Liz, SC Ivan, and from the entire team, we wish you a blessed day. Goodbye.
Issues at hand.